Well, like you said, my name is D.S. Edwards. I am an unashamed follower of Christ. I'm a family man. I'm a citizen advocate. I'm a Fox News contributor as of late. I'm someone who loves my country, and I love the state where I was born and raised. And according to, well, Janet Reno started it, and now Eric Holder and John Kerry and Barack Obama, I am a domestic terrorist. I wrote a book called Collective Retribution, and this book was born from personal tragedy. 10 years ago, my sister-in-law, my wife's baby sister, who I had known since she was 2 years old, was murdered by an illegal alien. So I wanted to make a difference, and I thought, you know, the written word inspires me, so I wanted to write a novel to wake people up. And I'll get really quick and to the point because, you know, I don't have long to talk. And I like to break everything down Barney style, so it's going to be pretty simple. Bottom line, I'm pissed off. I'm tired of it. I want to read you something that was written by someone who I respect really greatly. I just met the lady not too long ago, and I've started studying and devouring a lot of things that she's written. She's a constitutional lawyer, attorney. She's a teacher, and everybody might not agree with her, but I really respect her. And her name is Chris Ann Hall. Anybody heard of Chris Ann Hall?
Yeah.
Chris Ann wrote this a couple of days ago, and she sent me an email and said I could use this. So close your eyes and imagine this. Here's what Chris Ann said. Imagine an America where liberty is preserved. Imagine an America where the people fight to preserve liberty rather than government handouts, where people demand limited government, even if that means they can't have a Medicaid motor scooter, even if that means their kids don't get federal student loans or they don't get a federally insured housing loan. Can you imagine an America where the people know that government should never define marriage, and any government that would is tyrannical? Imagine an America where there is no government regulation of private industry, where people are held accountable for criminal and negligent actions regardless of their social or political class, where proper accountability is in place, regulation is redundant. Can you imagine an America where the people know that government regulation is a form of legislation without representation? And that when the government regulates your business, you don't even own your business, the government does. Imagine an America where people can name the 5 liberties in the First Amendment faster than they can name all of the Kardashians. Imagine an America where the people know they are supposed to be jealous of their liberties and that they are supposed to guard them above their own lives. Where the people know we outarm and outpower the government. Imagine an America where the people actually understand why the Second Amendment is essential to the preservation of liberty. Imagine an America where the people know the words "shall not" pertain to more than just guns, and that those words actually mean "shall not." Imagine an America where the people know that liberty is the inherent possession of men and not a gift of government. Just for a moment, imagine what that would be like. How would America be different? You know, a lot of these guys have kind of talked on what I was talking about today or what I was going to talk about, and we've all heard the popular phrase. And like I said, I break everything down Barney style, so I'm going to be simple. I'm not going to have a lot of facts and figures. It's not rocket science, people. So we've all heard the popular phrase coined by those who follow the religion of Al Gore and who unashamedly worship the earth. And this phrase they've adopted, and it's stuck. Think globally, act locally. Well, I'm here to tell you right now that that phrase is something we should all adopt. Change it up a little bit, but we should all adopt it. Think nationally, act locally. You know, the business of presidential politics occupies 90% of the news leading up to the election. Most of us who are here, we pay attention to elections. We understand what's going on. Most of us devour the news. I'm somebody who watches CNN, MSNBC, Fox News. I mean, I study it all because I want to see what the other side's thinking. We're passionate about seeing the federal government start to honor and hold the Constitution, and we want a president who understands the checks and balances the Constitution provides. But you know what? The person who sits in the big white mansion on Pennsylvania Avenue is not near as important as the guy sitting in the city council chambers, the guy in the county commission on the county court, the sheriff. How many of you people know who Richard Mack is? Are you familiar with the constitutional sheriffs, peace officers? That's something we really should support, or our county sheriffs, those who understand the Constitution and understand that they are the final constitutional authority within their jurisdiction. You know, that's what the beauty of the framers of this nation, that's the beauty of what they created. I mean, they penned the Constitution. We're a nation ruled by law laid out. You know, we're a constitutional republic. But government power doesn't come from the White House and trickle down to the peons, us. It comes from the bottom up. Even though it hasn't seemed like it the last 6.5 years, that's not the way our country was founded. That's not the way it was designed. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I'm somebody who spends a lot of time in the woods. I grew up in a town called John Day. Y'all know where John Day is. Grew up with Leo there. Hi, Leo. So when we were kids, we used to be able to hunt bears with hounds, right? So bears knew what a dog was. And when a dog barked at a bear and it was on the trail, that bear would 9 times out of 10 go up a tree. Well, when we were kids, we discovered, hey, if we run after bears and we bark like a dog, we'll get the bear to go up a tree. And it worked. It worked really well. Well, a couple of years ago, it's been a while since that law was passed. A couple of years ago, I was on my ATV and I'm driving up this forest road and I see this bear off the side of the road. And I'm kind of a big guy now. I don't miss too many meals. So I see this bear and I'm thinking, oh, fun. So I jump off my quad and start chasing this bear down the hill, barking at it. And I'm barking and chasing it. We get about 300 yards from the top of the hill, and I look back at my quad, I'm thinking, man, that's a long ways. Well, the bear decides he's going to stop. So he stops, and he turns around, and he starts snapping his teeth at me. I'm thinking, man, this really wasn't a good idea. So I get behind this tree, and I kind of hide for a little bit, and I move to the next tree. To make a long story short, I got away from the bear. But the reason I tell that story is I'm pretty sure it's time for the people to be the bear. It's time to quit being chased, quit being intimidated by the federal government, and stand up and start taking things back at the local level. I'm going to ask you a question. I don't want to embarrass anybody, so don't raise your hand. But how many people know from election to election who the candidates are for city council? Who the candidates are for their local school board? The county commissioners, the attorney general, the secretary of state, the Supreme Court. How many of us actually know who those people are? We've really got to start learning who those people are, and we've got to start supporting them. There's a county about 5 hours from here, my namesake, like I said, John Day, Grant County, where I grew up, and they're actually saying no to federal overreach. You know, they haven't gone to the extent that Utah has, but they're on the right track. You know, they've passed a county ordinance that said that they're a UN-free zone, the first county in the nation to do so.
Which county?
Grant County. They're a UN-free zone. They also have passed an ordinance countywide that says if the Forest Service is going to close any roads, that must first be signed off on by the county court, the sheriff's office, with the input of the citizens. They've actually done this. So they're actually doing it. In my opinion, one of the greatest dangers today is a complacent citizenry. And I like to say this. A complacent citizenry is destined to be ruled by the uninformed. This means even if you're informed and you don't act, it's not going to change. Those who are uninformed but are organized by someone who inspires them to action will decide the life that you're going to lead. It's time those of us who believe in the Constitution start educating others on what it means and what America was meant to be. Education, I truly believe, is the key. And we can't rely on the news media to do it. We can't rely on public schools to do it. It is up to us. And Thomas Jefferson actually had a quote, one of my favorite quotes of his, and he said it best in regards to education. He said, if the children are untaught, their ignorance and vices will in future life cost us much dearer in their consequences than it would have done in their correction by being educated. We have got to speak out continually within our sphere of influence. The grocery store line, the workplace, the church. It's going to blow some people away, especially the church. I can tell you without a doubt that the biggest sleeping giant in American politics, and I know this, are the people sitting in the seats every Sunday morning that don't participate. Huge political power there. Could you imagine if every one of them showed up at the polls? Things would change. But you know, I get a lot of people telling me, well, that's not right, D.S. You know, that's not, as Christians, we're not supposed to be, you know, involved in that. We're supposed to be in the world, but not of it. You know, we come from an eternal kingdom. You know what I tell them? Wake up and smell the Isaiah 9:6. It says, "For unto us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder," singular. It's misquoted all the time. Why is it singular? Look it up in the Greek, the Hebrew. It's singular because we're to be that other shoulder. You know, it's great to pray. I'm a man of prayer. But quit being lazy and hiding behind God and expecting Him to fix all your governmental problems, because it ain't going to happen. I should have been like, no, I should have put a paperclip on it. So Thomas Paine, one of my favorite founding fathers, he was kind of the propagandist of the day, and he wrote this. He said, "These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in this crisis, shrink from the service of their country. But he that stands by it now deserves the love and thanks of man and woman. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered. Yet we have this consolation with us, that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. What we obtain too cheap, we esteem too lightly. It is dearness only that gives everything its value. Heaven knows how to put a proper price upon its goods. And it would be a strange indeed if so celestial an article as freedom should not be highly rated." It's not time to be a sunshine patriot, and it's not time to be a sunshine Christian. It's time to be the other shoulder without ceasing. It's time to govern the country every day of our lives. It's time for we the people to once again be the state, be the church and be the state. I will be inside signing books. If somebody wants to come and talk to me, I'm not going to open it up for questions because Jeff's getting ready to pull the cane and pull me off the stage. But if you want to come and talk to me, I'll be in there signing books. Social media is so important. We've really got to take the lesson of Freedom Works and what these people are doing. Social media is super important. Anybody who's got a social media device right now, pick it up and follow me on Twitter, D.S. Edwards Author. Follow me on Facebook, D.S. Edwards Author. We've got to start networking. We've got to start working together. And we've got to work on the local level in order to take it back. Thanks, and God bless.
Here, here. Well